Welcome to the Homepreneur Heroes Podcast, the show where we shine a spotlight on the unsung heroes of the home services industry. Join us as we delve into the inspiring stories of entrepreneurs who have turned their passion for serving homeowners into thriving businesses. Our guests share their journeys, insights, and strategies for success. Get ready to be inspired and learn from the best in the business. And now your host, Marco Salinas.
And welcome back to the Homepreneur Heroes Podcast, proudly sponsored by Pina Colada Media, where we spotlight the remarkable journeys of home service entrepreneurs. I am your host, Marco Salinas, and each episode we explore the stories behind successful businesses in HVAC, plumbing, and other essential home services. Join us as we uncover the secrets to their success and learn valuable tips for aspiring homepreneurs. Joining me today, a very special guest, Mr. Brandon Brown of Brown's Heating, Air, and Plumbing. Brandon is no newcomer to the game. He's been around for a while. He started his company back in 2006, which is a very long time ago. And so Brandon's been grinding it out for a very long time. He's a seasoned veteran in this world, and he's probably going to grace us with some real serious wisdom and some real golden nuggets on today's episode. So, Brandon, welcome to the Homepreneur Heroes Podcast, my friend.
Man, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I've heard so much about you and the podcast and others that have been on here, so I'm thankful to be on it and be part of your list.
Thank you so much, Brandon. I really appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
One thing that I did not cover in the introduction, because I kind of wanted to dedicate, a significant amount of time, or at least a decent amount of time to talking about this, is that you recently scratched something pretty big and important off your bucket list here about a month ago, which was to become a published author. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. A month ago, we released a project I've been working on about 16 months, and we released my biography, Cool Success. I got a copy here. I don't know if you,
Yep.
Cool Success. So just kind of my journey from start to now.
Yeah, man, that is incredible. Now, my understanding as well, Brandon, is that you've also entered into the coaching world as well, right? You're helping other home service businesses with coaching and guidance on how they can grow their business as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I became a Conquer coach about two and a half years ago. It's a group that's part of House Call Pro, which is a CRM. A lot of home service industries use it, and it's a group of coaches that of all trades, heating and air, plumbing, pressure washing, landscaping, and that's what we do. We meet with pros weekly that are starting a business, people that I wish I had this when I started. Just helping them grow so they can get out of the truck. They're in the truck working. They want employees, so we try to help them, put processes and stuff in place and grow their business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that coaching thing that's a whole nother animal right there. That's just a whole world, right?
It is, because it seems so natural to me when I'm doing it myself, but then when you have to sit down and tell somebody and try to help them out, it's just a total different ball game. So it's definitely a different approach, a lot more dedication and things you want to research and educate yourself on.
Yeah, I bet. Well, let's do this, Brandon. Let's go back into time just a little bit. Take me back right around that year 2006 when you started your business. Can you share with us a little bit about your story of how you decided, I guess, to go that route to start the business and kind of what inspired you, I guess, ultimately to enter this industry?
Well, great question. It actually goes back to 98. I was in high school. And I had, in 98, you're a junior, senior year, everybody's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Where are you going? They're pressuring you to do this. They're pressuring you to do that. And I honestly was looking at here in Lynchburg, it's a huge Christian school, Liberty University. A lot of people across the nation have heard of it. They played Oregon in the bowl game this year. So that's Liberty. I was actually looking to go there to be a preacher. I grew up in a Baptist Christian home. I loved the church. But I have, 3 brothers and sister, and it just didn't have the money to go to college. And also I really didn't, like school. I was a C average student, but I like using my hands and being out. So, going into my junior year, my guidance counselor sat down. They had a new dual enrollment program coming to Central Virginia, paid for by the school system for the community college. You could pick heating and air, plumbing, electrical, welding. I think it was machinist, nursing, hair. It was all these options. And just something told me heating and air. I have no idea why. I had no idea what a thermostat was, what a filter was, whatever. I was like, well, let me try it. So, and I'm glad I did because I fell in love with it. So I did that my junior and senior year. I graduated high school in 2000 with my high school diploma and my career studies heating and air certificate the same day, which was unheard of because had no debt, no college debt. So I was already working doing heating and air for a company. So fast forward, I worked with them to about 2004 or 5. I was working with them when Hurricane Katrina hit because I was also a firefighter, volunteer firefighter my whole life.
Okay.
And Katrina hit and FEMA reached out for help. Like, hey, if you want to sign up to come help, we'll pay you, be on the clock and help us clean up with FEMA, get people out of the danger zone. And this was at the time where I'd been doing it for about 5 years, but I wasn't really happy. I wasn't happy working for someone, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, that I needed to start a business. I was just, something wasn't right. So I took the FEMA job. It was a minimum 30-day thing so I could come back. And so I did that and actually turned into about 6 months working for FEMA all around the Gulf Coast, helping people out of flood zones and putting them in hotels, things like that. So I got back and I had just started dating my wife now. We had just started dating this at the time. And I just didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't really want to go back to working for someone. What should I do? And she's like, you just need to go and just try it for yourself. You got your license and stuff. Just do it, So that's when we decided, I literally had $500 to my name. That was it. I'd spent everything. I had gotten out of a bunch of, I was a teenager, so I spent a ton of money. I had never knew what a savings was. So I had $500 to my name. We begged her dad to loan me $2,500 to buy a van down the road. And that was it. I just hit the road.
Wow.
So
and that's how that whole thing kicked off.
That's how it kicked off. Just me, no nothing. I had no idea. $500 in my name. No idea how to price a job, what a P&L was, what a budget. I had none of that. Just me. And I went to Staples or Walmart and bought a stack of invoices, like receipts, and just started handwriting. And that was it. That's what I did.
And then basically just jumped into the fire.
It just jumped in. Yep. That was it. It was do or die. And I knew, having an air conditioned background, if it didn't work, it would be jobs. There was plenty of jobs.
Sure.
In the trade. And I had started learning that and already knew that. But so I was just going to do or die, make or break, and see what happens.
Wow. And all these years later, it looks like it worked out pretty well.
It did. It's definitely been a ton of up and downs and a ton of nights where you say, man, I just should have do something else. I should get rid of it. I should quit. But, in the long run, I wouldn't change anything.
Sure. Absolutely. So that's a good segue to my next question. And that was kind of one of the things I wanted to know. I love when I get to talk to a business owner that didn't just start, 24 months ago. When you've been around for a while, you've actually seen quite a bit of different things. There's been obviously some big economic things that went down since 2006. We had, what we will call the Great Recession back in 2008. And that was kind of early on in your business endeavor, so you had to overcome that. And then, even in the early 2010s, there were still plenty of little hiccups and difficulties and different things that went down, right? All the way leading up to COVID in the last, 4 years or so. So can you tell me maybe some unique challenges that you've encountered as the owner and operator of a home services business like yours?
Yeah. The definitely that real estate crash in 08, 09 really, really hurt, because I was doing a lot of new construction and had builders leave and bankrupt after that and left us with $35,000, $40,000 in debt. And I had to go to a bank and borrow money to pay off my accounts so I could stay open. And then work also died then. And then, of course, I was still a young owner, so I had no idea of saving for slow seasons, budgeting for this. I would spend it, I would, make money in the summer and go do my trips in the fall and spend all my money and forget that there is a slow season coming. So I actually took a full-time, I was then in 08, I took a full-time job with the Lynchburg Fire Department. I was a firefighter and did heating and air, both, until I got back on my feet in 2015 when I could finally leave and get back into heating and air. The recession was gone and things were coming up. But that taught me a lot then to get me through COVID, because I had to, after getting that loan, I met with a lawyer. I finally learned about contracts. So he's like, dude, you got to get signatures. You got to get your contract signed and make sure if they leave you, you get covered. And in different insurances I had no idea about. Saving money for slow seasons, so that I could pay myself when it was slow. So luckily that taught me and gave me time between that and COVID to kind of get that in place so that we could also make it through COVID. Because once COVID hit, we had 25 employees by then. So that was a huge learning curve and time to prep, that because nobody can predict stuff like COVID and things. But you've got to always say, I'm always already saying now, what if something else happens 5 years from now or 7 years from now, 8? What is our plan? Because you worst case scenario, if we get there and it doesn't happen, I've got money saved that I could either keep it for the next time something happens, or, at least I'm safe, and covered.
Right.
So it's a lot of lessons in that taught me how to keep going.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Now, was your business always HVAC plus plumbing, Brandon, or is that something that you added on later down the line, the plumbing?
Yeah, we added plumbing about 2 years ago. Brought a guy on that got his license and wanted to come work for us and started a plumbing department. So that's pretty new and it's growing pretty quick.
Sure. Now, is that something that you recommend to early business owners that are running HVAC companies to try to get that plumbing in there to give a little bit more balance to the slower seasons? That type of thing?
Yes, absolutely. I wish I'd done it years ago. Plumbing or electrical, or all three, just something, because I've noticed that there is no slow season in plumbing. There's always clogs. There's always water line breaks. There's always set fails. And our plumbers this past winter, because we've had a weird year. It's been milder the temperatures since last summer than our winter was hardly any. So we were slower. Our slow season was longer, and our plumbers kind of picked up the slack with our bills and things because there was no slow season for them.
Wow. Yeah. So that really kind of balances things out for all the little ups and downs that maybe are a seasonality of the HVAC world, huh?
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
Definitely getting some kind of having an extra avenue of income. Not only that, but if you're in heating and air, you dive 100% into service plans and memberships. Have some kind of maintenance year round for customers so that you're guaranteed that reoccurring revenue.
There you go, man. There's nothing I love more than that nice little monthly continuity coming in, right?
Yep.
It's predictable, it's dependable, and even with a little bit of churn or attrition and losing a few, you're still all right if you got enough of them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's one of those, another one of the many golden nuggets that you've already dropped on us today for anybody that might be listening. It's kind of early on in their homepreneur journey. So
yes,
all of that is big. Now, where you're at right now, Brandon, you've been at it for a while. You've kind of, I'm sure you built a nice little team out. How many people on the team as of right now? Is it
31.
31. Okay. Yeah. So tell me, what does a typical day look like for you at this stage of the journey, running your, your home services business, where you're not, maybe you're not out there actually, getting up into the attic on a regular basis or what have you. What does your day look like as the owner now that you're pretty well seasoned?
Yeah, the last couple of years I'm transitioning more to the I've got supervisors in place. I'm transitioning more into teaching them how to run it so I don't have to be here a lot. That's why I've started doing some coaching, I did my book. I do a lot of keynote speaking. I travel and do some keynote speaking for events. So I still reach out to community. We do a lot of community give back. So we're always making sure we're out in the community, thanking them because I wouldn't be here without the community. Small businesses, you have to realize and respect that the community that calls you for work, you have to give them back. You got to give them back time, money, whatever it is, because I would not be where I was today if it didn't for the thousands of people that call us every year for their work. There's hundreds of competitors around us. They could call anybody, but our customers are loyal, and you've got to thank them. So I'm always trying to find ways to be in front of the community, giving back and helping. I'm here day to day, usually just helping leaders grow, running things how I would run them, just making sure things are still, running how I would like them to run, because, we're blessed to have over 1,200 5-star reviews in the last 4 years. And our rating in Google, is 4.9, which is amazing with home services, because it's hard to get that. So our employees buy into, they know our core values, and they're, and they stick with it, the humility, the customer oriented, the community, and they love it. So they dive straight in. So that's my day to day now. My wife came on in 15 when I left the fire department. She came on as vice president. She's here day to day too, more like doing all the stuff that I'm horrible at, the accounts payable, the HR stuff, the office stuff. So it took a load off of me to kind of concentrate on my field supervisors and growing them as leaders.
Yep. Yeah, that's really smart. That is really, really smart. Now, I'm always wondering if somebody is wanting to consider coming into this world, right? You're thinking, man, I'm seeing all my friends or people that I know that are in the home services world, and they seem to be doing pretty well financially. They don't have all that college debt like the other people I know do, and all that kind of stuff. And they're in demand. Their service is in demand.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to somebody that's either wanting to start or maybe recently started? And if I could just add a little extra note there, talk about also the effects on family and home life. What kind of expectations should you give your spouse or potential spouse if you're going to enter into that world together?
Oh man, that's huge. I'm gonna tell you right now that the first thing I tell them is, I'm honest with them. It's not easy. Owning any kind of business, small businesses are the backbone of the country. It's over 85, I think, percent of businesses owned in America are small businesses.
That's right.
But it is a ton of stress. It is. It's just, it takes a special person, not special, but you just have to know, you just have to know it's coming. I'm 18 years in, there's still sleepless nights. There's still stress. You're going to have that, but you have to know where to draw the lines. From the very beginning, having someone in your corner locally that's a financial person, a financial advisor, someone that can go through you with your books and your accounts with you monthly or every couple months, so that they help you save money. You wouldn't believe how many people we help and conquer, or any coaching where we get to meet them. They've been in 5 years, they're doing 1-2 million a year, but they're literally only profiting 2 or 3%. And they're like, I just don't know what to do. I'm going to business. And then you get to looking, and they're traveling the world. They're buying the boats. They're buying so every money everything they make, they're blowing. So
Right.
it's, and they're early, because it's when you're first owner, you get that check and you're like, oh, I made 10,000, but you don't calculate your insurance coming, your taxes, so that's the stuff that is vital to, if you want to make it long, you want to stay married, because if that happens, most time your wife, or they're not going to stay around. If you're a business owner working 7 days a week, but you ain't bringing in any money, you're going to have issues. You don't want that at home. So
Right.
having that set up from the beginning, even by yourself, and having a way to budget and save. You got to have a business budget and a personal budget, and don't outspend it just because you're busy now, because you could be slow tomorrow. That's the biggest thing I try to tell people, because we do run into a ton of businesses that go out of business in 5 years or less, is usually money issues. And that's one of them.
Man, that's huge. Great advice. And I think you're right. I think that, especially when it comes to family life, you're going to need to warn them that you're probably not going to be seeing a whole lot of me for a little while. But if we can stick this thing out and we can weather these early storms, then it can really pay off for us later down the line. But we've got to have the right mindset together going into this thing, right?
Right. Yep. Got to work at it as a partnership. And I'm blessed. Like I said, my wife's been here since she's always been part of my business. She was in college and got to stay home with the boys as they grew up. But in 2015, when she was able to come on, we're able to work together and go home and separate it and get things done, and still married. We're going on we'll be married 13 years next week. So
That's amazing.
It's definitely takes a mindset that you've got to accept. You're going to be stressed. You can't worry about your competition. You can't worry about what people say. There's enough. And I try to tell people, I help a lot of other heating air companies here in Virginia locally. Like, even my competitors call me all the time for help. We help each other. And I tried to start that now that they're new and I've been around, because when I started, I didn't get that. I walked in supply houses in 08, 09. People would laugh at me like, look at, he's 24 years old starting a business. He ain't gonna make it. It was like a sacred ground to start a business back in 06. Now it's 20, 30 businesses, and it's enough work for everybody. You don't need to be stressing somebody else trying to make a living. Just do your job, do it right. Your customers and the word of mouth will spread and bring the business for you. There's no need in ever downplaying another business locally or talking about them. Just let it be. If they're talking, let them be. It'll always end up in your favor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, a question that I like to ask the seasoned guys is, given all your experience and all your success, you were mentioning earlier that there's still occasionally the sleepless night. What kind of obstacles do you see at this stage in the game where you're 18 years in, the thing's been running for a while? It's not like the problems just all of a sudden go away and there's,
Yeah.
everything's just perfect, right? What is an obstacle? What is a challenge that you deal with now at this stage in the business a little bit later on like this?
Yeah, I think even if you're in 18 years or 2 years, every year it seems like it's something new. Like right now, of course, the economy is an obstacle. What's going to happen? Heating and air people know starting January, there's a new Freon coming out mandate. So now we're stressing. We got to completely retrain everybody, completely retool everything, and budget for that. We didn't even think about till this year. And those obstacles like that, but also the end game. What's going to happen? I got two boys. Do they want to take over in one day? You got to start thinking, how are you going to retire? How are you going to exit? What's going to happen in 10 years? So then now my planning is now till then, what do we need to be in place so that you're comfortable, either not being here and letting it run or what happens with it. So those are the
Right.
obstacles you're starting to think about, because I went in business, with the goal of not wanting to work all my life, not
Right.
wanting to, you don't want to work but so long and do teaching and speaking, when I'm done. So that's the goal now, is the next 10 years, what to do.
That's right. That's right. For us as entrepreneurs, man, we tend to really value freedom more than
Yep.
anything else. Freedom and flexibility. We're not afraid to work. We're not afraid to get down and dirty. But at the end of the day, what we would like in exchange for that is that flexibility to do it on our terms, right? If I want to take
Right.
some time off with the kids, with the wife, with the family, I can do that, right?
Right.
What kind of things have you done in your business, Brandon, to allow you to step away and things like that from time to time on your terms?
Being able to put leaders in position early and teaching them. So now, like I used to have to wait till fall to take my summer vacation. Now there's enough leaders and stuff in there. We can go in the summer. I had to plan that ahead so that I knew in a few years, this is when I want to take. I can take a week or two off. And also we stress that with our employees. One thing we do here that nobody does is every employee gets their birthday off paid as a gift from us. You don't use your vacation, you don't use your PTO. You
Nice.
get paid to stay home on your birthday. If it's a Saturday, you're off Friday. If it's a Sunday, you're off Monday. And like we had an employee last week was his birthday, he was off, and he posted, and everybody was like, "What? I didn't know you had that." Like, I got to go to school, eat lunch with my kids, which I normally don't do in the heat and air world.
Right.
Able to take off, spend time with your kids at school, do a school event. I got to wash my truck. I got to do all this because my company appreciates my time with my family, and that's why we did that. We pay for it. That's your birthday gift from us. So
Yep.
we notice that too, and we value that in our employees. We want them to be home and see their family. Because I remember when I was doing heat and air and fire department, I remember many Christmas days at the fire station away from my boys. And that was just when I got to the point when they were getting older. I said, "That's enough is enough. I've got to do one or the other."
Right.
Life is way too short. So just you just got to plan it. I mean, I'll even put on my calendar. My wife, like I said, me and my wife work here together. I'll send her an invite next Friday lunch, just us, and
Yep.
make us put it on the calendar. And then we know next Friday we're leaving work for 2 hours. We're going somewhere nice. We're going to sit down. We're going to eat, and there's no work.
Right.
We're going to take our lunch break. So I try to do that. We try to do that with each other every month or more, so that we make a point to put it on the calendar.
Man, that is some serious wisdom right there, my friend. Yeah, I love that. Brandon, obviously businesses need to advertise and they need to market in some capacity. Typically, if they want to at least be able to scale, you can do a lot with word of mouth. You can do a lot with referrals. But if you're looking to scale and turn up the volume, you usually have to have some type of marketing campaign. I'm a marketing nerd, so I geek out on this stuff, and I always love to hear how businesses are operating in that realm. So can you share a little bit about maybe what you guys are doing with your business to market and promote yourselves and get your name out there?
Yeah, we try to stay in front of them daily. We have posts on all social medias. We have TV commercials. We have email and text campaigns. We try to do fun stuff. We always incorporate our employees. We have a fun commercial from last year we did with Bigfoot. I was Bigfoot and needed air conditioning. Two of my guys backed up and we screwed an old thermostat to a tree. If you go on our Facebook page, browse there and find it, there's a bunch of them on there. We did an Easter egg hunt for we closed down for half a day on, right before Easter and cooked everybody breakfast and did an Easter egg hunt. Nice. And we video it and we put out reels and we say, you know what? I don't care if we have to put off a customer for a couple hours. The employee is they'll be there when they're done with this, So
right.
And we put that out. So you got to make it personal and likable. We try to strive to not have maybe 2% of sales pitches. We do specials. We do tips. We do plumbing tip Tuesday, heating and air tip Thursdays. We try to keep it 5% or less sales. We just want information and we want fun stuff just so they see us and they know our brand and our logo so that when something happens, they already know to call us because we're not forcing sales down our throat. And I'll tell you, the best commercial we ever did on TV was during COVID. It was just me and my wife and standing in front of our desk. It was kind of dark. And we just said, just a short thing of, we know it's tough. We know times are tough, but we are praying for you. And that was it. That was the only commercial. Nothing about call us because you're home needing it. And we got more working during COVID because of that commercial than any other year because they were like, your commercial just touched us that you cared.
Right.
And you got to make it personable. And that's where we did. And that one just led to so many blessings that we didn't even plan on.
Golly, man, that is incredible. I think that you've made it pretty clear, Brandon, that you are definitely a man of God and you don't seem to hide that about yourself. Can you just touch on that briefly and what role that has played in your life and everything that you're doing?
Yeah. I think he's the one that put me on the path. I tell everybody when I go to keynote speech, I don't like saying I'm gonna give you my story because usually stories have at the end, they say the end. And I'd like to say this is my business testimony. Because everything literally, if I look back, I couldn't have planned the path any better than what would happen if doors didn't open. Every time I fell, we got back up and we just had faith that something would happen. We had several years or seasons where we were like, man, we have no money. We got to pay the people, not us. We're just going to close the doors, and then all of a sudden a job comes through and you're like, no, we don't, so, I'm a firm believer that's, I respect everybody's views, religion, political, whatever you want. You're free to, believe, think whatever you want. But for us, we firmly believe that, God put us on this path because I wasn't a preacher. I wanted to be a preacher. And I kind of felt bad that I didn't because I was like, if this is my calling and I'm not doing what he wants me to do, will I be successful? So I think I found out as I went that I am serving and helping people in this role and helping people out. We do a heat pump giveaway to a family in need once a year. We do a huge event. The community nominates and votes, and we put a system in for a vet or a cancer patient or somebody, whoever wins the vote, free. And I feel that our path is where he wants us. So it's kind of joining. I feel better about it, more at ease that I didn't take that one because I think I'm on the path he wanted me to be on.
Man, that's beautiful, man. I mean, that is as real and transparent as you could ever get. And I really appreciate your humility and being willing to share that, Brandon. So thank you for being very open about that because not everybody's willing to share those very, very personal things, but they are of utmost importance in our lives, for those of us who do believe and have a faith life. So
yes,
really good stuff. My question as we wind down here, my last couple of questions here. What does the future look like for Brandon Brown and Brown's Heating, Air, and Plumbing? What do you envision, as far as your growth and expansion of your business let's just say like in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah. For the next 5 years or less, our goal is to hopefully add electrical. It's hard to find, people that want to do electrical and come to work for you because it's just trades are just dying off. So it's hard to do that, but our goal is to get electrical added. Our goal is to, expand jobs. We got apprenticeships starting where we can do some internships for hopefully local high schoolers, get them interested in the trade. And like I was and so young. So you don't have to go to a 4-year school. You can do a trade and make good money. So the next 5 years, that's really that. We really want to tighten up what we have, the processes and the things, keep the plumbing growing, add electrical. 10 years from now, I'd love for it to be within 0 to 10 years where it's running completely without me. I can just check in every couple of weeks, and I'm coaching, I'm speaking, doing things like that. Maybe even do another book. I don't know.
Yeah. And on that note, I did want to leave off on the conversation about your book. Where can that be found, and what are you going to be doing, in the future? Because I know you got a lot going on with the coaching, and you're giving talks, and a lot of that revolves around the book. So you want to give that a little plug here before we wrap up?
Yeah, I appreciate it. If you go to brownsheatingair.com, no and, just Browns Heating Air, there's an author tag or tab on our page where you can find the link. It's on Amazon if you just search Cool Success by Brandon Brown. Or you can email me at brownhvac@gmail.com. If you do that, I will send a signed copy to you and give you the details of how to get a signed copy personalized to you, and I'll mail it to you that way as well. So I've done about three speaking events so far this year, 4. Next week, I've got a 5th one in Kansas City with a big a Train American Standard dealer event I'm keynote speaking at. And hopefully this will lead to some more book, events and engagements.
That's great, my friend. Brandon, let me tell you something, my friend. You are the definition of a homepreneur hero. I thank you so much for your time, your story, and all that you've accomplished is really it's moving. It's motivating, and it definitely lights a fire under guys like me that just get to hear about all that you've overcome and all that you've been through, and where you've ended up today now as a published author, as a coach. It's really a phenomenal story. So thank you so much for coming on today, Brandon. I couldn't thank you enough for sharing all your story and all you've shared with us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
God bless all of you out there.
God bless you too, my friend. And that does it, guys, for another episode of the Homepreneur Heroes Podcast. We will catch you here next time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Homepreneur Heroes Podcast with Marco Salinas. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights from our guest's journey in the home services industry. Remember to subscribe to our podcast for more stories of entrepreneurial success and tips for growing your own home services business. Until next time, keep striving, keep serving, and keep being a homepreneur hero.